Hey guys, Jeffries here, and welcome to the first of what I hope will be many, let's say, episodes or videos of this game here, which is Microsoft Flight Simulator X, otherwise known as FSX. You can see I've got graphics settings turned down a little bit, mainly just for performance reasons, make sure everything runs nice and smooth, you guys can see everything, it doesn't lag and jump and little things like that. Just to give the best optimized experience for myself and for you guys. Now, the eagle-eyed of you will have noticed you've got the Gherkin just over there, you've got Canary Wharf just there, and you've got the O2 Arena, I believe, just there. We are, of course, at London City Airport. For those of you that don't know, London City Airport is... It's not quite in the heart of London, but it's very, very close to the centre of London. It's at the east end of London, sort of around the Docklands area. It's not too far away from Canary Wharf. You can see it's almost directly straight ahead of us. What else can I say about London City Airport? That's about it, really. That's all you need to know. Top Gear once raced to London City Airport. Where Clarkson was on a boat, Hammond was on a bike, May was in a Mercedes, and the Stig was on public transport. I don't know if you guys would remember that, but that's what happened. I suppose we're doing the follow-up to that. We're now all on a plane and they're trying to fly to Luton. Luton is the airport I've chosen to do this excursion to. It's kind of like a test flight. I've done several test flights on this game before, none of which I've actually managed to successfully land. Two of which I've tried to record and they've been ruined for one reason or another. And one of which I tried to land at Manchester and ended up crash landing at Liverpool. So, regardless of the result of this flight, I am recording this and I do plan to upload this. Just so that I can get the ball rolling, and if there's anyone out there who knows why I'm going wrong, they can drop me a comment and let me know, and then the next time I do one of these videos, I won't be crashing because I know exactly what it is I'll be doing. So, without further ado, having said all that, it's time to get the plane set up. So, let me get up my little bar here. Aircraft. What do I want? I don't know what I want actually. What do I want? Instrument panel? Do I want that? Yeah, I want this. Seatbelt sign on. Everything else I think is okay, so I can close that again now. Everything else in this area is okay. I'm going to pull up the GPS now. I'm going to put it down to a decent size and stick it up in this corner here. Just so you guys and I can see where it is we're going. This pink line here is the one we actually want to follow. If I go on the map quickly, gives you an idea of our flight path. So we're currently down here with the black plane here, and we're at London City Airport, and we're flying up here to EGCW, I think that is, or EGGW, EGGW, which is Luton Airport, and we'll be landing at one of these two runways, depending on what runway that is. I'm not entirely sure yet. Heading and airspeed, I've no idea of actually. Can I, if I change this? Default value is aircraft's current airspeed. Okay, well let's leave that as it is for now then. We'll hop back into the aeroplane. And now we're going to tune this to city ground. And we're going to request depart straight out. You guys might have noticed we are currently sat at the end of a runway. I believe there is only one runway at London City Airport. They want us to taxi to and hold short of runway 28. You can see there's a 2 and there is an 8. So we are just holding short of runway 28. So we'll tune into the tower and we'll request takeoff clearance. They should grant us takeoff clearance straight away. There we go, straight out departure approved. Just wait for them to stop talking, acknowledge takeoff clearance. Now, one of the problems I've had on here is getting this to work properly. One of my mistakes just now was I switched GPS on too early and ended up trying to do a full 180 and crash landed that way. What I want to do, I need to fly at an altitude of 4,500 feet, so I'm going to set that first on this little dial knob thingy here. And as you can see, this little pink number has appeared saying 4,500, which is good because that is our programmed altitude. I'm then going to set airspeed, which is this dial here, and I'm going to set this, if my mouse will let me, to 150 knots, not miles per hour, knots. And that is I believe that is airspeed, not ground speed, and they are two different things. I've no idea what the difference is, but I've been assured by other people who play this game that that is airspeed and not ground speed. So they could be lying to me, of course. Does it actually say on here what it is? It just says speed. Okay. The final thing I want to do, that is on nav, which is good. I want to switch this on. I want to check that the engines are off, which they are. And I want to flick that switch on and that switch on. And I want to switch on the autopilot. And you can see here the engine is starting to fire up. The speed here is starting to rise. Hopefully we travel in a straight line. My joystick, which I'm actually going to be using maybe for landing at this stage, maybe I'll just land using autopilot. I'd like to use autopilot if I can. Again, some people call it cheating, but real pilots use autopilot, so I don't see what the problem is.
Too low.
And there you go, we've had takeoff. Ooh, bit of a turbulent thing going on there. I'm not really sure what's going on. Stall. That's not going well. Are we up in the air now? I think we're actually up in the air now. Good. Good, good, good. So now I can switch this to GPS and flick that onto nav. And you can see we've started turning. Now unfortunately, because of the way I've got OBS set up, I don't actually want to press any buttons that will take me outside of the aircraft, because chances are I will end up accidentally cutting off recording, and I don't want to do that. And the engines have stalled, the engines are back on, our speed is rapidly decreasing, and I don't like where this is going. I hope we're not falling out of the sky. It says stall again. This is not going well. I need the engines to kick back into life, which they have done, but it's still saying stall. Are we back on? I think we're back on. We're rising very, what's the word? Very steeply, sharply. We're at 40 degrees, which is way too much. That's almost like, if you imagine a straight line along the ground, 90 degrees is a line from that points straight up. 45 degrees is a line from that points between the two. We currently seem to be pointing between the two. Or almost. I mean, we're not now, we're 30, so we're a third of the way between those two. It still says stall, the engines are still struggling. I feel as though there's something I've forgotten to do. Was it that? I think it was that. I forgot to switch the engines on my little joystick thing. I forgot to switch them on. Well, I forgot to thrust up. That might be the reason. So I've just whacked that into full thrust. Speed's going down again. We're now coming up to 90 knots. This is really not going very well. We're still climbing. Speed's rising again. I think we might have recovered this. Frequency change approved. Just noticed up here. I've actually got the volume turned down as well on my TV so that I can talk without it coming through on my microphone. This joystick is really, really vibrating. Don't know if I let go of this. Can you hear the vibration? Yeah, I'm looking at the feedback on my audio capturing, and it definitely looks as though there's some interference going on there from the joystick vibrating, which is not very good. I think the aircraft is about to level out at 4,500 feet. which means that our airspeed can finally rise to what it should be. It's saying stall again, but our speed is rising dramatically, so that should end that little problem. I dread to think what this must be like for the poor passengers sat in the back. It must be horrific for them. Right, there we go, we've levelled out. We've actually levelled out at coming up to 4,700, maybe 4,800 feet, so we're probably going to have to dip down a little bit again to recover that. I'm going to let go of the joystick, because that should have stopped vibrating by now. Airspeed is approaching 160, which is also not very good. I think everything is just starting to calm down a little bit now and relax. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it all into jeopardy again by contacting Luton. And finding out what airport, what runway we're going to be landing at. Except I haven't seen them on the list. Where are they? There they are. Luton. Tune Luton Tower. I won't request landing just yet. I'm going to wait until I'm a little bit closer to them. I've had so many problems trying to land, and I've followed all the steps on autopilot, which I've actually got up on my screen at the moment. You know, I've done the whole thing of programming nav 1, switching it over, switching everything onto nav on the autopilot, and approach and things like that. And I did a test flight just now where I tried to fly from here, London City Airport, over to Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, and it was going really well. I was approaching the airport, I switched it all over, flicked all the switches and that like it said to do on this online guide I found, and before I knew it I was flying in the wrong direction, 46 nautical miles away from the airport. And then in trying to turn the plane back round, thinking, you know, step in, do it manually, I accidentally, first of all, I nearly crashed the plane. I pulled up with about 100 feet to go before I hit the ground. Second of all, the game itself then crashed, which wasn't very good. And yeah, just none of it didn't work. It failed completely. So I then did another test flight from London City Airport, which is again where we just took off from. Actually on the same flight path that I'm taking now to Luton. And again, got really close, except I made the mistake of, I contacted Luton as soon as I'd left the ground virtually. I'd achieved my designated altitude of 3,000 feet. I contacted Luton to find out what to do. Got the runway, looked it up on the list, found its ILS frequency. ILS? Yeah, ILS frequency, which is, I can't remember what ILS stands for. Something landing sequence, I believe. Did all that, entered the right frequency, switched it all over, flicked it onto nav and nav 1, and virtually the same thing happened. I started flying in the wrong direction, and I got about 10 nautical miles away before I tried to turn it round, and then it actually looked like it was going to do it by itself because it started turning, and the next thing I knew it was swooping down like an eagle almost towards the ground. Just managed to pull up in time, swooped down again, just managed to pull up in time, swooped down again, just managed to pull up in time, and then came down one last time and didn't pull up in time and crashed into the ground, which, you know, that wasn't very good. You know, you don't have to be a fully qualified pilot to know that dive bombing into the ground is not the best way to be flying an aircraft. I should at this point probably explain why I decided to buy this game and start doing this series. The main reason being that me and flying haven't always got on. Every 3 to 4 years I hop on what used to be a 747, is now an A380, Airbus A380, used to be a Boeing 747, and fly to Australia to visit family. And it's 12 hours roughly the first leg of the flight, and 6 to 7 hours for the second leg of the flight. And I kid you not, people, it is the worst experience of my life. You know, I've had things like food poisoning, I've had hypothermia, I've had tonsillitis, I've had sunstroke, extreme dehydration, you know, I've had serious problems with my arms and my legs and things like that, and been through some pretty bad times with all of that stuff. But I would take all of that above getting on a plane for 12 hours. I get cramp in my legs very early on. I've never had DVT, but I'm pretty sure I've come close to it. That's deep vein thrombosis, for those of you who don't know. My ears pop. I get excruciatingly painful headaches. My stomach does about 20,000 somersaults, and it's just not pleasant. The first time I did the flight, I was 2, I think, or 3, so that one wasn't too bad. You know, I was a baby going on for a toddler. You're meant to throw up at that age anyway. The worst time I did it was when I was 13, I believe, and the 12 hours were basically full of me in the toilet trying to hold down lunch. This year I actually went, well no, not this year, that's a lie, we're in 2014 now, 2013, last year, I did go again to Australia, and I managed to last the entire 12-hour flight without feeling ill. I just felt bored, and I had cramp and things like that. And then the 6-hour flight afterwards, I felt fine. Well, basically I felt fine until 5 hours 59 minutes, and then the very last minute, as we were coming down to land in Australia, Perth Airport is one of the worst airports to land at. There's thermal vent things, I can't remember what they're called, updrafts, coming off the ground from the mountains and the outback and the bushland and things like that. The airport runway itself is probably the worst surface known to man, and it's just horrible. It's hot, it's stuffy. I'm pretty sure there was a mist in the cabin where just water had evaporated. And yeah, I lasted 5 minutes 59 seconds and 59 minutes. Try that again. I lasted 5 hours 59 minutes, and then the last minute was spent doing something not very pleasant, let's put it that way. So I hate flying. However, I like the idea of being able to fly aircraft, and I'm really into the idea of flying from A to B and carrying loads and things like that. You guys might not have guessed this by now from my channel, because I do things like FIFA and Football Manager, and I'm going to be starting to do first-person shooter games as well. But I'm an engineer. Well, I'd like to think I'm an engineer. I'm currently studying for an engineering degree. I love all things engineering, but I particularly like logistics and things like that, almost civil engineering style. So things like trains, planes, boats, not so much boats, but planes and trains especially. I like the idea of carrying things from A to B, set up logistic companies, little things like that. So you guys have noticed I've done a few train simulator videos, and this is hopefully my first in a series of flight simulator, and then I've also got Euro Truck Simulator as well. And I'm going to interrupt myself for 1 second because I've noticed that we are currently about to fly over Luton, so I'm going to contact them and ask for permission to land. Right, they want me to land at runway 8, so what I'm going to do now is go into the map, click on Luton, find the frequency for runway 8, 109.15. What have I done? Have I just moved the plane on the map? That's not good. Hopefully that hasn't balls up the flight, because that's schoolboy error if I've just done that. Or was it 109.15? Yeah, that's what I've done. So what's this doing? Nearest airport list. Luton. Alright, they just want me to do that. Okay. Press full stop landing. I'm going to ask them again what they want me to do. This is still on GPS. Oh yes, they still want me to land at runway 8, which is 109. So let's switch this onto 15 first, and then we'll switch this one onto 109. There we go. Acknowledge pattern entry instruction. Done that. Now I've got to switch this one frequency swap, so the 109.15 is now the active frequency. This plane just seems to be turning circles. My joystick is starting to vibrate like nobody's business again. So I've now got to switch this to nav, this to approach, and everything else should take care of itself, apparently. That's what I've been told, I believe. Hang on, let me just check that. As you approach in the airport at around 3,000 feet, which I'm not quite doing, put autopilot and auto throttle onto the speed you want. On the GPS switch, make sure it's in nav instead of GPS and put approach hold on. So that's on nav. Check. That's on approach. That one. Check. The plane will line itself up and something in red will come up saying, well, this is in a 737 I've got these instructions for. That's probably where I'm going wrong, actually. I don't want to be switching views. What I'm going to do is try and move this around a little bit and see if I can come up with a better view. Oh yes, I was explaining why I like flying. Well, why I don't like flying, but I like flying. I like the idea of being a pilot. I get car sick as well, but since I've learned to drive, and since I drive more often, I don't get car sick as often. So I'm hoping that by doing this and seeing how a pilot actually operates, it might help me conquer my air sickness. It's a very strange theory, admittedly, but you never know. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I want to do a series of these. I might either do, like, take requests for free flights, providing they're about, I'd say, an hour's max, and then I'll split them in half, maybe 2 half-hour videos, or I will do the missions on this game and record those. We'll see how this one goes first. I might film myself doing the tutorials, you never know. I have gone into this game completely blind. I haven't done a single tutorial. I've tried to sort of learn by experience. And depending on how this flight goes, it'll either be a good idea or a bad idea. Who knows? What I do know at the moment is we are flying in the wrong direction. Hopefully this damn thing turns round and starts flying towards, because we want to be aiming towards this sort of green arrowy thing, because that's the landing vector. So ideally we want the plane to be going up to roughly where these pink triangles are here, and then turning around and coming in, because the idea of this ILS system is the plane lines itself up and lands by itself. What's this? Shall I switch that on to? Does that make any difference? I don't think it does, in all honesty. I don't know. What does that do? I've got a beeping noise going on. I don't know what that is. No warning signs have come up. I'm still flying in the wrong direction. Nothing has indicated that the plane needs to start turning, which is worrying. It's beeping again. What am I missing? How do I switch that on? Nothing. Let me try again. According to this guy on Yahoo, which is probably not the best place to be getting this information from, but you never know, this method that I'm trying to use here is 99.9% accurate, depending on good weather. And the weather outside in this environment at the moment seems to be pretty good. So in theory this plane should land perfectly. At the moment it's flying in the wrong direction perfectly, with no inclination whatsoever that it's actually going to turn around and land this properly. Let me try this. Try turning this down to 3,000 feet. Like I said, I've no idea if this is going to work or not. Regardless of what's going to happen, I'm going to upload this video anyway, in case there's anybody out there watching who, first of all, think I'm an absolute moron. Second of all, would be able to tell me what I've done wrong and how to fix it. I'm going to turn these two things off because they might not have had anything to do with it whatsoever. Really looking for this plane to start turning. anytime soon. I'm going to flick this back onto GPS and switch that onto nav, and it should start turning like so. It should pull up at 3,000 feet. Hopefully once it's finished turning, I can stick it back onto nav and it might actually land itself. That would be brilliant. I just want it would be so cool if I could first of all learn how to set up autopilot to take off, fly and land, and then slowly be able to learn how to do each step individually to the point where I can then decide, like, oh, I might have autopilot do takeoff, but then I'll fly it by hand and then land it myself. Or I'll take off myself and then I'll let autopilot land it. That would be so cool if I could do those things, but at the moment I can't do any of them. I'm going to try and switch it back onto approach. I should be able to see the runway in the distance, and I might be able to actually, I'm not sure. That might be it over there. Looking at it, it should be straight ahead and off to the right. So I think that there, just on the horizon there, I think that's the runway. Do I switch on heading? No, I don't need to really, do I? Because I haven't got it set to anything. So that'll just spin me around in the wrong direction. As it stands at the moment, providing this plane keeps coming in as it is, and then does a little bank to the right at the end, I should be able to land this plane no problem. That's the good way of thinking about it. On the flip side to that, I could end up crashing into a ball of flame, and it could be that one actually, because I've just noticed how close we are to the runway. In fact, I think the runway itself is the blue thing over here. The green thing is not the runway, the green thing is just the landing vector. So if we line up with the landing vector, we should in theory be lined up with the runway. But we're not turning. Why are we not turning? We are turning. We're turning. Okay guys, this could be it. This could actually be a landing. A landing, a safe landing, a no crashing landing. This could be it. Why is there another plane landing at runway 8? There shouldn't be another plane landing at runway 8. We should be landing at runway 8. They should be telling us soon that we can land at runway 8. Oh, altitude has been switched off. We're lining up to the runway. The runway should be almost directly in front of us now. I can see the runway. There's the runway, guys. That red light in the distance, that red and yellow light is the runway. The plane is lining up with the runway. It needs to stop turning now. And then maybe turn a little bit to the left, just to help us get lined up. Have I got speed set properly? Let me just check that. I think it's 147 miles an hour for a 737, I believe. We're coming in at 150. Oh, acknowledge landing clearance. Okay, guys, we're doing this. I'm going to turn the speed down to 125, just so we're coming in less than the speed of a 737. I don't actually think we're going to have enough time to slow down before properly landing. Guys, we are actually doing this. I can see the runway dead ahead. We're coming in at a pretty good angle, I think. We're losing altitude quite... I mean, we're at 1,800 feet. We're still speeding up. I do know how to slow down. That is the one thing I learned first of all, is I did a couple of drills where I sped up on the runway and then slowed down. Press and hold F2 for reverse thrust and press and hold full stop for brakes. I do know that. We are coming into land. I don't think Luton looks as deserty as this makes it out to be, believe it or not. And actually, looking at this, we're coming in at quite a nice angle. It looks like we're going to land just over the other side of that yellow strip there, which is perfect. The runway doesn't look very long. which is slightly
Too
worrying.
low
My
to
joystick is starting to vibrate a lot again. There's a voice
low
telling me
to
to
range.
pull up. Or was it gear down? It might be
Too low
gear
to
down. So I'm
range.
going to put the landing gear down.
Too low. Terrain. Too low.
The gear should be
Too
down.
low.
Right,
Flaps.
back ones are down, the front ones are down. Okay guys, here we
Too
go.
low. Flaps.
We're about to land. Ah!
Too low. Flaps.
Switch the autopilot off. Thrust down. Reverse thrust. Ah! What the hell?
Too low. Flap.
Oh no!
Turn next taxiway.
The undercarriage collapsed. Oh balls. Guys, that was going so well. That really was going so well. And then that happened. Damn. I'm actually really annoyed about that. Yeah. I'm really annoyed about that. That was my own fault. I turned off the autopilot too soon. I think what it says is when the plane lands, turn off autopilot and throttle and turn on the reverse thrust and speed brake. We seem to bounce off the runway. That was the problem. What's this done? Okay, hang on, let's try again. This seems to have loaded up an autosave, which is fine. Wants us to land at runway 8. Let me remind myself of what that is, preferably without moving the plane. So let's zoom in a little bit. Luton. There we go. Runway 8. 109.15. That was the one. So it was 109. Let's do the 15 first, and then set this to 109. It's not letting me set this to 109. There we go, 109. Flick that over, 109.15. Switch that to nav, switch that to approach. Let me move this out of the way. Should let me. There we go. Did you guys notice it was telling me where to taxi to as well when I landed? Because I touched down. What it hadn't taken into account was the fact that I'd crashed, which is annoying. Right, I'm not quite sure. This plane seems to be rising at the moment. We'll have to... I'm leave it on nav and see what happens. That's what I'm gonna do. Let's see what it does if I just leave it on nav by itself. Is it going to land by itself? That's the question. I'm going to turn the speed down here to 120. There we go. Let's see if it can land by itself. I don't think it will, in all honesty. I think we're going to end up in another fireball, because at the moment we seem to be turning in the wrong direction again. The engines are powering down. Maybe we can do this. Maybe we can do this. Maybe we can do this. Maybe we can do this, guys. Maybe we can do this. I'm looking at how long this video is getting as well. I am so sorry. Normally I don't do videos over 10 minutes. Or, actually that's a total lie. I do a lot of videos over 10 minutes. I don't normally do videos over 20 minutes. But at the moment I seem to be doing a lot of 20-minute videos, especially with Football Manager. That seems to be the one that I always break my own rules. This one is going to be as long as it takes to get landing, I think. We need to land this plane. We can't stay up in the air forever. We'll run out of fuel. And the last thing you want is a glider with 2 engines slapped on the side. This is really frustrating. I still can't believe I'd landed it. I'd landed it. All I did was bounce. And so, see what happened. I crashed. Oh, I'm so angry at myself. I'm really angry at myself. I just cannot believe I did that. After everything. I've just noticed that plane was climbing. That's cheating. That's not allowed. Let me switch this back on nav. I'm going to land this plane. I am going to land this sodding plane if it kills me. Oh my goodness. Right. Let's fly to here. If I switch it back on nav now and approach, will it correct itself or will it just keep flying in a circle? If I leave that on, does that give me a clue as to what I should be looking at? And if I turn this back on again, is this going to help me or is this going to hinder me? I don't know what the blue line means. Can anybody out there in YouTube land watching this video, can anybody tell me what that green line means here and what that blue line means here? Anybody at all? At the moment, I've got a plane flying around in a circle. Not a clue what I'm doing. I'm supposed to be landing at runway 8. Okay, so now we're flying straight over the top of Luton. Does it say what way, which runway points? So I can't see that either. I'm getting stressed. This is too much for me. Right, we're still coming down. I've set it at an altitude of 3,000 and a speed of 120. At the moment we're doing a speed of 250 and we've just gone through 4,000. You can hear my joystick vibrating, so at least that's still working. Airspace less than 10 minutes. I still haven't worked out what that means. Are we turning to the left? No. Oh, we're turning to the right. Oh, okay. Small turn to the right. And now we're turning to the left. Okay, so it's doing something. It wants to land. The plane wants to land. That's good. It's still dropping, it's turning. I'm now just doing a running commentary as to what this bloody aircraft's doing. Yes. It's still turning, it's still turning, it's still turning, it's still turning, it's still turning. We're probably... I don't know what direction we're pointing in now. Definitely set it to 109.15, yes. We're coming up to 40 minutes since takeoff, and I'm pretty sure, like, I've got on a plane before from Stansted to Newcastle, and it took, I think it was about 35 minutes to do that flight. This flight shouldn't take anywhere near as long as that, and yet here we are. I know I did a little bit of faffing around on the runway beforehand, but that's no excuse. This flight is taking forever. That's another plane that wants to land, so they might be letting that one come in first at this rate. So I don't think we're going to be landing before that one. That one's landing, yeah, that one's landing on runway 8. we're currently flying around Luton, runway 8. It'd be cool if we could actually see the other plane landing in the background, but I don't think that's going to happen either. Okay, so we're now just about to level off at 3,000 feet. Oh no, we're dropping again. It's going to start doing that dive down thing, isn't it? Yeah, look, spinning around again. The runway is almost directly beneath us now. Still spinning round, still spinning round. We're at 3,000 feet. We're actually at 2,900 feet. Airspeed is coming down to where it should be. We're now flying across the runway again. The stresses of doing this. How has anyone else done this? I'm going to have to watch a few videos of this, I think. We're slowing down still. Coming up to 150 knots. The nav thing on the dial thingy has just turned around again. Primary flight display. That's what this whole screen is. So I think a sharp turn to the left and a bit of a descent should have us lined up for landing. I think. I hope. I pray. Please. Coming through 130. Coming down to 135. The target is 120. Actually, I'm going to bump that up to 125. How much? Bump it up to 130. There we go. Joystick still vibrating. You guys can probably still hear it in the background. Plane should have slowed down by... No, what am I talking about? Should have stopped slowing down by now. Right, we should start turning to the left shortly for this approach. Anytime soon. Nice sharp turn to the left. That's all we need. Just a real sharp turn to the left, a proper go at it, and then it will start descending, and before you know it, we'll be touching down at Luton and taxiing to the the gate. Please work. I don't know whether to categorise this video now as gaming or comedy, because this is just ridiculous. We seem to be flying off in totally the wrong direction again. Do I have to switch GPS back on? I'm going to switch GPS back on. And nav. Ah, it's turning us the wrong way. Oh, balls. I think I've just balls this up again. Let me try again. Nearest airport list. Luton. Request full stop landing. 6 miles southeast with Alpha to land. It should tell me to land at runway 8, altimeter 299.2. Still don't know what that means. We're spinning round. That's staying at its altitude, which is good. That's changing down still, which is bad. That's on nav. That's on approach. That's switched on. That's on, although I don't think it needs to be, but it is. That's now starting to rise. Right, do you know what? I'm not going to interfere anymore. I'm putting the mouse down. I'm going to put the joystick as far away from me as possible, and I'm going to sit back and watch this with you guys, because I want to know what happens at the end of this, whether we land or not. So, I suppose while we're waiting for it to decide what it's going to do, I'm going to carry on talking about why I hated flying. Like I said, I'm an engineer. Ooh, I do need to acknowledge that. Right. As I was saying, I'm an engineer, studying to be an engineer, and one of the things I had to do whilst I was at college, before I started at uni, was about material failure. and structural mechanics and little things like that. And in doing that, we had to do research for different instances where materials that are expected to work have failed. And I'll just do a generic Google search, put in material failure and things like that, common examples, and one of the big ones that came up was aircraft, where a lot of aircraft in the past have failed. A famous example is probably the de Havilland Comet, where the shape of the windows meant that there was a lot of cracks that appeared until the entire fuselage blew apart. Bear in mind this is probably late 60s, maybe early 70s, so a long time ago, coming up to 40 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, and things like that. And then I read about ones where there's aircraft where the engine suddenly failed and things like that. And like I said, it happens a long time ago, 40, 50 years ago, but when you're boarding a plane, especially when I was boarding the A380 last year, it's been flying for 3 years, maybe 4 years now, but there's still that feeling of new about it. And because of that, it unnerves you. You think, what if it doesn't work? What if something goes wrong? Like what if the engine does fail when you're in the middle of the air? If you're flying over quick, think of an ocean. In fact, not even that. If you're flying over mainland Europe and the engine just suddenly decides to give out, what do you do then? So, I mean, I'm not scared of flying. Oh, it's telling me to do something. Follow the aircraft on base. Yeah? Let's just say I acknowledge that. I have no idea. I assume that means there's another plane coming into land and I need to follow it. Let's take that as an instruction. But yeah, as I was saying, I'm not scared of flying. Takeoff and landing, I do get a little edgy, but I wouldn't call it scared or fear. I just call it nervous. Let's put it that way. Once we're in the air, I feel a lot calmer, and when we're on the ground, I feel incredibly relieved, to say the least. I don't know. Maybe I don't like flying in general. Maybe I am scared of flying. Who knows? It makes me feel ill. I know that. I get motion sick. What is this plane doing? We're just flying in circles now. Oh, that does remind me of a story where this is on a 747, so I didn't have the feeling of new and the disturbing nature of that. But I was on a 747 flying to Kuala Lumpur, which is in Malaysia, of course, on the way to Australia, and everything. I wasn't ill. I felt fine. 11 hours, 30 minutes. Felt absolutely great. We were actually due to land 11 hours, 45 minutes after takeoff. So 15 minutes away from landing, basically. I was feeling really relieved. I felt absolutely fine. I'd flown into Malaysia before. I knew that it's a nice, smooth descent. There's no turbulence or anything. You land really, really smooth. I knew I wasn't going to feel ill. Suddenly, we get an announcement on the tannoy from the captain saying, due to congestion around the airport, lots of planes trying to land, lots of planes trying to take off, we'd have had to have waited for a bit. So I've heard stories in the past, people have told me, family members, friends, that they've had to do, like, circle around a little bit and wait to land. So I thought, that's fine. Do a couple of laps around Kuala Lumpur waiting to land. Sure, no problem. Unfortunately, Kuala Lumpur Airport is sort of in a mountain range. So what ended up happening was we were doing a figure of 8 over a mountain range. I don't know if anybody's done that before, but there's a lot of thermal updrafts coming from the mountains. So we ended up bouncing up and down all over the place, and we weren't just circling around for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour tops. We were circling around for going on for 2 hours. It was a horrible, horrible, horrible sensation. I felt really, really, really airsick after that. Couldn't wait to get off the plane. I've never ran so fast in all my life. To get off that plane, just the relief took over. Luckily, I haven't had an incident like that since. Although it's always sat in the back of my mind whenever we've been coming into land. I'm interfering again. I know I said I wouldn't, but I would, because we're flying an awfully long way away from Luton again. I'm still annoyed with myself. That was the first time I'd lined up successfully with the runway and was going to land. And then I did that. I've definitely got the frequency. Nav 1, is that switched on? I'm going to turn these off again. In fact, no, I'm going to turn that one off, because that's the one that's making the beeping. I'm going to turn this one back on. In fact, no, I'm going to switch this back on GPS. I'm going to see what this does. It circles me round or not. Let's turn off that. Let's turn that back on. Let's turn that back on. And then let's see if it lands us. I need to do this. Is getting ridiculous now. We're coming up for an hour's video. If I don't do it this time, if it starts to fly off in the wrong direction again, I'm just going to say that I did do it. The undercarriage didn't collapse. I did land. I managed to reduce the thrust, and I managed to taxi to a gate. And we're going to all go home and remember that I managed to land a plane. That's what's going to happen. So I'm supposed to be landing a runway 8. Let me go on the map and see if I can see where runway 8 is. Look at my flight path. That is ridiculous. Is runway 8 on here? Yeah, there's runway 8. That's where I'm supposed to be landing. You can see it's there even. So where am I now? I'm there. I'm absolutely bloody miles away from where I need to be. Oh my goodness. And there's no signs of it turning round either. I'm now rising for some reason, but now I'm not going to interfere. Now I'm going to let the plane land itself. All I'm going to do is pop the landing gear down when I need to. Apart from that, this plane is going to land itself, or if it starts flying off in the wrong direction, we're all going to go home and remember that I managed to land it. That, yeah, hopefully that works out. Oh, it's turning. It is turning. Come on, plane, you can do this. It's a Bombardier LeerJet. Remember, guys, if anyone wants to load the game up for themselves and have a crack at it, this is the plane I'm flying. A Bombardier. I keep going to say Bombardier because that's the name of the beer. It's not. It's Bombardier LeerJet. And I really wish I picked the 737 now, because I can almost fly that one by hand anyway. Take off, flying in the air, not landing. I can't land. The one crucial part of being able to fly a plane is landing, and I can't land. And it's really annoying. Because really, you shouldn't be allowed to take off until you can land. So what's going on now? We're still flying. We're still rising, which is worrying. Is it trying to get to a good height in order to come down again? I don't know. What is this whirlybird doing? I'm hoping it just flies past Luton, then spins round and lands. We're actually going through 9,000, approaching 10,000 feet. Maybe it just wants from 10,000 feet just to swing around and land. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm on the verge of a mental breakdown right now. I've got a sodding clue what this aircraft is trying to do. I'm going to load up another tab and see if I can... Right, FSX, LeerJet, ILS. Right, there's videos, but I don't want to watch them because there'll be noises. Okay. Let me turn the Morse code thing back on. That one as well. So I can hear the beeps. So I know that I'm on the right frequency. Okay. Prescribed altitude for intercepting the slope. The plane should automatically intercept the glide slope and cause the alter lights to go out and begin the descent. I can't get this to work. First of all, the plane will not track the approach unless in GPS mode. As soon as I press nav, the plane stops tracking the approach. Aha! So someone else who has the same problem. Okay, there's a lot of problems going on. Maybe it's a problem with the aircraft. FD1. I need to look for something called FD1. FD1, anybody? Can anyone see something that says FD1? There's FD1. Do I switch that off? Do I switch it on? Course knob is just to the left of the HDG knob, directly below the flight director switch. So that's that one. So if I turn it now, what's it on now? Omni bearing selector, nav 1. Nav 1. What, hang on, what does this do? So that should be nav, yes. Localizer, course readout. So I wonder if I turn this. Do I need to line these up? Ah! What happens if I line them up? And then if I turn that off? No, turn that on. What's going on? Turn this altitude back on. So this plane's gonna drop like a bomb now. Shall I turn this the other way? Does that make any difference? Is this plane starting to come into land? Where am I on the map? I bet I'm miles away. There's Luton. There's me. Okay. GPS. Nav. Let this thing spin round. This is request airport directions. So I've got some communication going on. Plane's still dropping. What do I set the course to? That's the thing. It says 79 degrees on this tutorial, but it's for a different airport. Is your course set to the runway heading also? Okay. Let me go back on the map and see if there's a runway heading. Okay, the runway heading for Luton is 077. So I need to set this. No, sorry, I need to set this to 077. Nav approach. I need to set this to 077. Okay, will this land the plane? It might just do that. If it stops turning very shortly, it will land the plane. And it's starting to stop turning. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. The plane is starting to stop turning. We're coming down through altitude. Okay, this could be the one. If it stops turning. It's probably going to turn to the left again. Just to line us up properly. Now that's something I didn't know. And that's something I need to remember for future references. You don't just set the ILS number. You also set the heading. And I feel like such an idiot now because that's something so bloody simple. Right. So this is now lining us up with the runway. And you can see the green line lines up perfectly with the blue line. That makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. Okay. I think we're lined up. It looks like we're lined up. What we now need to do is drop quite heavily. Vertical descent. Joystick is starting to vibrate again. You guys can probably hear. We on approach? We are on approach. Right. Everything seems to be hunky-dory at the moment, as long as we descend quick. I haven't got confirmation of landing yet either, which is a bit of a worry. But we can, yeah, we'll ignore that for now. That's not too much of an issue at this moment in time. This video has now crossed the 1 hour threshold, so I might need to do some editing. We're going to miss the runway. If I miss the runway, does it loop round and come in again? Or if I just buggered it up? I'm 2 miles out, roughly, and I've got to drop 10,000 feet. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. In fact, there we go. I've just flown over the runway. I've just missed the runway. There's no option for a go around. Or to tell them I'm going to go around. So either the plane's going to turn around itself, or something else. What's going to happen? Is it turning? Maybe it drops to 3,000 and then starts turning? I don't know. I just don't know anymore. What's going on? It's gone off approach. Why has it done that? Is this actually going to start turning again, or have I just missed it? Oh, no, it was doing something then. It was doing something then. Is it turning? I think it's turning. Yes, it's turning. Right, it's still on 077. This could be just because I'm losing altitude still, so it's going to loop round and then come in for another attack. Oh, please, please, this has to be the one now. I don't know what else could be wrong. I've done everything. I've done everything. So 3,000 feet, it's saying at 10 nautical miles is the best way of doing it. But I didn't have that luxury because I didn't know how far out I was. We're still approaching 3,000 feet, coming down through 7,000 now, still turning. The green line is back on the blue line, approach is on, nav is on, flight, what's this one called again? Flight director switch is on, the heading is still 077. The distance is 7.4 nautical miles, but that should start dropping again in a minute. The altitude is set, speed is set at 150, autopilot is switched on, That isn't switched on, the yaw damper, because we don't need that. Don't ask me what yaw, pitch and roll are again, because, well, I can tell you what pitch is. Pitch is forwards and backwards. So basically, imagine there's an axis line that runs from the left wing to the right wing. Pitch is if the plane rotates along that axis. Roll is if there was an axis running from the nose to the tail, and it rotated on that axis. And yaw is if there's an axis running through the centre of the plane, and the plane rotates on that axis. I had to do that. One of my subjects last year, one of my modules in year 1 of uni, was aircraft technology and aerospace industry, I think it was called. And we had to do a lot about that kind of thing, and that's also where sort of my passion's the wrong word, but interest in aviation logistics came from, really, because we looked at different airports, and we looked at air traffic control and things like that, which is what ATC up here stands for, by the way, guys, air traffic control. We looked at all that stuff. We tried to sort of look at the theory behind it, and we looked at different aviation companies, be it freight or passenger, and all the different like alliances that they've come up with in order to compete against each other and things like that. And just looking into all of that, it sort of made me interested again in the aviation industry, and sort of think it's kind of something that I want to be a part of. But at the same time, I have my own other interests and dreams that I've been chasing since I was a small child, virtually. That's the reason why I'm studying engineering, is mainly because of the other aspirations that I have. But because of that, I've suddenly developed this interest in aviation, which is probably, I think that goes back to my family as well, because I've got family members who worked in the aviation and defence industries through the years, so it might all stem from that as well. That's turned off again. Approach switch keeps turning off. We're still turning right. The course is still set. We need to stop turning right. We need to start turning left. Come on, aircraft, you can do this. No, it's turning right again. I don't like where this is going. Why is it still turning right? What is this aircraft trying to do? I might abandon ship in a minute. Just when I thought I was getting somewhere. Let me go back to the right. ILS frequency, that's set proper. Course readout, that's also set properly. Nav GPS should be in the nav position, which it is. Course selector is at 77. Yeah. Yeah. 77 course. 077. Glide scope is currently turned. What's that? Oh, Jesus, another aircraft. Trying to crash into that. And that's everything. Yeah, that's everything. So this should be flying nicely into Luton Airport right now, but it just isn't. I don't know. Maybe it's because there's another aircraft flying now. I don't know. Right, let me. Right, just. There's not even an option to cancel the landing. Because that plane is coming in from the other side now. So unless they've changed the direction and not bloody told me. Luton Airport information. Charlie Zulu, wind calm, visibility greater than 20 miles, sky condition, no clouds below 20,000, temperature 14. Dew point 4, altimeter 29992, ILS runway 8 in use, landing and departing runway 8, VFL aircraft say direction of flight, all aircraft read back hold short instructions, advise controller on initial contact you have Charlie. That means nothing to me. It's turned off approach again. Come on, you're flying at 3,000 feet. You want to land at a heading of 077. You've got your ILS frequency here. 109, 150. You've got nav1 switched on. Everything's set. You need to land. So all you need to do now is land. So all you can do now is land. Let's bump speed back up to 150. Oops, way too fast. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 150. So at least that changes. Flick this back on GPS and nav. So that starts spinning. There we go. Switch this back onto nav. 077. Approach. Still turning. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Still turning, still turning, still turning. Starts leveling out soon, we could be in business. This is the final chance, guys. If it doesn't work, then we call it a day. Or a night, considering I'm actually recording this quite late at night. We can do this, we can do this. We have to be able to do this. Oh, I can't believe I managed to do it and then crashed. That is so frustrating. Plane's still turning. Why is the plane still turning? Okay, the plane's leveling out. Okay. So we're going to fly over the top. And then it should turn around again. It should come into land. Come on, it has to do this now. It has to do this. It's been an hour since we took off. I'm amazed the engines haven't run out of fuel. This is just... I mean, okay, let's ask for the direction again. I'm still unfamiliar with the area. This is the third time I've asked you guys now. Where's the area? Who am I? What is this? 3 miles away at 1 o'clock, which is slightly off to the right. I'm sure I don't have to explain the clock face direction system to you guys. I put you down as being intelligent enough. Right, nav is on. Nav 1, the little dialy thing, is on. Nav 1, the frequency, that Morse code you guys can hear, that is on. Approach is on. Autopilot is on. Speed is on. Altitude is on. Let me try something. Let's turn that off. Let's see if I can fly the plane. Yes, I can. Okay. I'm going to do this. I'm going to fly in this direction. And then I'm going to turn it... Right, there we go. Report go round.
Going around. Bombardier 68 X-ray. Bombardier 68 X-ray. Copy. Go around. Bombardier 68 X-ray. Clear to land. Runway 8. Cleared to land.
Right, so there's my landing clearance. So cleared to land, runway 8. I'm going to turn slightly to the left here. Level it out a little bit. I kind of want my speed to increase at this point, but it doesn't look like it's going to. Right, so I keep flying in this direction now. And now if I turn approach on, is the plane going to start turning to the left? The answer appears to be no. Oh wait, something's happening. Something's happening. Is it? No? Damn it, okay. Try this again. So now I'm going to turn hard to the left. Whilst trying not to lose all my altitude. Actually, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. Abort plan. God, everyone's probably getting air sick right now. Can I yeah, wherever I do, it will always return the altitude to 3,000, which is good. So if I dive it forward now, that's not even let me dive it forward now. Turn hard to the right, and now I'm going to start turning hard to the left. It just doesn't feel like I'm going to be able to do this. See, look, I'm turning, apart from the fact that I'm now diving towards the ground. That's not gone well. Okay, turn on approach. Autopilot is on. Plane is turning. Come on. I should really be aiming for that, but I'm not. Oh, it's a bloody plane taking off now. Hang on, traffic is... Okay, so that plane is now waiting for me to land before it can take off. Okay. We're still turning left, we're still turning left, we're still turning left. This plane keeps turning left, we're in business. There you go, I'm forcing it to turn left. Keep turning left. Just keep doing that. They're going to be radioing me in a minute, asking me to hurry up. Alright, still turning left, still turning left, still turning left, still turning left. Airspeed is through the roof at the moment. Still turning left. Still turning to the left. It's fair to say that this is the worst landing in the history of aviation. I think even air crashes have had better landings than this. I don't even know, like, is it showing any signs that it's going to land? I don't know. I just don't know. I think if I do this again, and I probably will be doing this again in the very near future, the very next one I'll be doing after this will be in an aircraft where other people have landed it, and that will be something like a 737. I can see that happening. Something like Heathrow to Luton. A well-known flight, because that does happen. People do fly from Luton to Heathrow. Why they do that, I don't know. Right, still turning, still turning, still turning. Forcing it to turn. See, it's still turning, it's still turning, it's still turning, it's still turning. Is it going to level out? Oh, I just saw the runway. It is leveling out, but it's completely the wrong. Okay, guys, fun's over. We've done this. It's over. Let's end it here. I will go back, I will train, I will try hard, and I will try again. So, until then, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please click the subscribe button. If you have subscribed to my channel, thank you guys for your continued support. And until next time, I will see you soon.